Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE fan 0599 here again, and welcome to the first review of 2017, and it is going to be for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So Rogue One, Star Wars story stars Felicity Jones, Diego Lin, Alan Tukin, Donnie Yen, Ben Mendelsohn, Forrest Whitaker, and Mads Mikkelsen. And what this film is about, it's about when Jyn Ross, she gets picked up by the rebellion and they need her help to get the plans for this star killer, this planet killer that's about to be built called the Death Star. And they basically need to try and get the plans for the Death Star. So what did I think of Rogue One, a Star Wars story? Now, as all of you know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is probably my favorite film franchise of all time. I love Star Wars. It's such an incredible franchise, in my opinion. And I was excited because this is going to be the first of many anthology movies. And I was very, very excited to see where they would go with this first anthology film. So, what did I think? I really enjoyed it. It's a really good movie, in my opinion. I very much enjoyed Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I very much enjoyed the film. It's a really good movie in my opinion. I really enjoyed Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It's a very good movie in my opinion. So let's get into my positives. And my positives are, first being the acting. I thought the acting was really good in the movie. I thought Felicity Jones was really good in the film. I very much enjoyed her. She was really good in the movie. She plays, of course, the main character, Jyn Ross. And she was good. I really enjoyed her. I very much enjoyed her in the film. I think she did a very good job, in my opinion. I liked Felicity Jones in the movie. Diego Lin, he was great too. I enjoyed him as well. I thought he did a very good job. I very much enjoyed him as well. Alan Tukin as this robot, man, he was funny. I did enjoy him. He's kind of a much wittier version of C-3PO in some ways. And I actually really enjoyed him. It was very enjoyable, and I thought he was great. I thought he did a great job in this movie as this robot. I very much enjoyed him. Now, my favorite character in this entire movie was my boy Donnie Yen. This guy was awesome. Okay, I loved him in this movie, so he was very great in my opinion. Every time this guy was on screen, I loved it. From his flying combat to just his witty lines. I mean, of course, you guys have all heard it. I'm one with the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force is with me. You've heard it a million times now at this point. But he was great too. I thought he was by far the best character in the entire film. Ben Mendelsohn, he was good. I really enjoyed Ben Mendelsohn. I'll get more or less into his character a little bit later on. But I really enjoyed Ben Mendelsohn. I thought his performance was really good. Mads Mikkelsen, I thought he was really good too. I really enjoyed him. I don't really get the complaint of everybody saying the characters aren't that memorable. I thought the characters were pretty memorable. I won't say they're not like the Force Awakens characters or anything, but I will say they were some pretty solid characters in my opinion. So let's get into the action now. The action, holy moly, the action in this movie is spectacular. Of course, it's a Star Wars movie, and for the first time, it actually feels like they're actually using the wars part of their name. This feels like a war. You know what I mean? And just from all the action set pieces and everything, especially towards the end, holy, I thought the action scenes were very well filmed, very just kind of spectacular and grand in a great way. I thought just the relationship between all the characters were really good. I really enjoyed, the relationship with all the characters, especially with Donnie Yen and his partner. I really enjoyed that as well. I thought they honestly had some pretty good chemistry with each other. I honestly enjoyed all the characters in the film. I thought the writing was really good with the movie. I really liked the writing with the film. It had some very solid writing in my opinion. The directing with this movie is great. I love the directing with this film. Gareth Edwards, of course, who did Godzilla back in 2014, is doing this movie. And he did a really good job directing this movie. I really loved his directing with Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I loved his directing with this film. And for the most part, I think the pacing was pretty good. I was invested throughout most of the film. I was invested throughout most of this film. So yeah. And like I said, I do like that this is very different from a lot of the Star Wars movies. You know, I mean, this is very, very different from a lot of the, from the other Star Wars films. You know what I mean? And I actually like that they went kind of more of a sort of a different approach with this movie. I mean, there's not even an opening crawl at the beginning. I'm not really spoiling that. Everyone's been saying that there's no opening crawl. I mean, there's no opening crawl in the beginning of this movie, you know? It really shows, this is a different movie, This is going to be a different Star Wars film than what you're used to. And I also like the visual effects. I almost forgot to mention that. I thought the visual effects were really good too. I really like the effects with this movie. I very much like the visual effects with Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. Now my negatives. My negatives with Rogue One are first being Forrest Whitaker. I don't know what he was doing. Like, what was he trying to do in this movie? Honestly, he was the worst character in the entire movie. I just don't know what he was trying to do. His acting was laughable. Like, seriously, in this movie, his acting was just terrible. I just thought it was terrible. Like, it was awful. I hated his acting in this movie. It was so bad. And plus, his character wasn't even all that interesting, to be honest, as well. I'll say that. He was there's another one I'll get more into when I talk about that later on. But he wasn't that great, honestly. There were some times that I was bored with the movie. I did think the movie did get a little bit slow. It was more or less in the beginning, like in the first act of the movie, it was a little bit slow at times. It was kind of hard to get into at some points. But once we get to a certain moment, that's when the movie starts going. That's when I started getting a little bit more interested. And lastly, I thought Ben Mendelsohn, he was really good in the movie. It's just that his character wasn't all that great as a villain. Like, I thought he was a pretty weak villain in my eyes. I think he didn't really serve that much as a villain in my eyes. If he would have kind of taken the villain out of the movie, it would have felt the same, honestly. I just felt like, we just need a villain in this movie, so let's just throw in Ben Mendelsohn. Like, it felt like it kind of served, like, almost nothing at some points. I didn't think he was honestly really that great of, like, the villain wasn't all that great. He was kind of just a weak and generic villain in my eyes, so yeah. But overall, I do think Rogue One: A Star Wars Story is a solid movie. I really enjoyed this film, so yeah. So it's time for my official grade on Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, and my official grade on Rogue One: A Star Wars Story is a B+. It's a very enjoyable movie. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. It was a good start to these anthology movies that we're going to be getting in the near future. So yeah, I very much enjoyed Rogue One, so it's going to get a B+. So what did you guys think of Rogue One: A Star Wars Story? Leave it in the comment section below, and I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we'll see you about later. Peace.